I'm optimistic because Michigan offers bargain basement prices on real estate, lake properties, technology, machine tools, even energy. The stuff that sparks new waves of capital formation through savings, which is, of course, our seed corn for growth. In turn, the basis for hope, for wealth, for choice, for liberty, and future generations here. I'm optimistic because if we get it right, Michigan will be permeated with a new industry for ourselves, for the country, for the world. Namely, what? Management consulting. How to fix our daunting and seemingly intractable economic and financial problems. Heaven knows how keenly and far-flung the demand for expertise in this century will become, especially in natural resource-rich lands of South America. They have the resources, they don't have the system to give it to them. Africa, Asia, I mean, having the resources may be a nice condition, but it's a guarantee of nothing if you haven't got the human capital of the system to work it into a value-added product. And if there's any state in America whose entrepreneurs have been tested and put through the fire, it's here in Michigan. If we can solve the problem, we've got something that we can parlay as management expertise to everyone, everywhere. I'm optimistic because slowly but surely it's becoming evident to more of our fellow citizens, elected officials, other public employees, how badly the nests have been feathered at our expense. We have to help voters see the self-anointed elites as wannabe emperors with no clothes. I think it's going to work this time. Think about it, again, whether it's private schools for their kids but not for ours, environmental insensitive for their daily peregrinations in their lives, but fines for us or penalties for us. The fact that they can opt out for their own choices for health care or for pensions but assigned to us a mandated Social Security system or now a single-payer health care system. I think we can nail them on their own hubris and contradictions. I call it a Yugo policy, a platform of Yugo. Our attitude, our message must be, you go first. If it's so damn good, you go first. And then we'll follow. Opt out of your program for health care and take what you want to give us, the 2,000 pages plus. Esther and I had an interesting experience, a Yugo experience. We were up there with Pete Hawkstra in Standish. Of course, they were thinking of, they want to bring Guantanamo prisoners up there, create a new industry. You know, so of course, the jobs aren't there because those are state union jobs. Those are, it's a state prison. And what goes in there would be a federal. So they don't get the jobs anyway. They can apply for custodial or for food service. If they're politically correct, they might even get one or two of those, but they sure won't get the, if they were to come there. But here again, if it's such a great industry, and it's so good, I say to Pete, for goodness sake, how come the Beltway doesn't want it? And that's it. You go first. So I think that's. And finally, I'm optimistic because reality always wins the day. Crowds out the fantasy and dream world nihilism that is today decimating entire economies visibly. Cities like Detroit, states like California, or continents like Europe, Africa, South America, rich in resources but very poor in integrity and political knowledge. Summary, and get it right for ourselves and our economy will look like it's been shot out of a cannon. Accelerating prospects for incomes, for jobs, for wealth, and for liberty. Folks, this is the impact issue. It's also the optimistic, constructive, and winning issue. May our victory come soon. Thank you. so the last standing ovation I got was when I addressed a Preparation H convention.
We have time for a few questions. And I just want to say, did anybody else hear Debbie Stabenow on WJR talking about health care?
Yes.
Her senior economic advisors are Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. I was going to invite her here.
Don't do that. Enough bedposts around here.
Fuck you.
Yes.
So when is China going to stop loaning us money?
Well, nothing's cold turkey, but you got the right idea. When you look at India, kind of at the cusp, they start taking hard physical assets. It's a message to us all. The vote is against the dollar. People ask me at every single occasion which way the dollar is going to go. It's not exactly a difficult question. The past is prologue if you don't change policies. And so yes, so what they're trying to do is diversify their holdings. So that's a paper asset. Paper assets aren't worth anything. They have to go to something that's a hard physical asset. I wish you could teach the Fed that. I mean, can you folks imagine? Here's Ben Bernanke. 7 years ago, the guy was writing about, well, if we ever have a problem, all we have to do is get in these helicopters and throw the money out all over the country. And that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. His mentor, of course, is Alan Greenspan. Who's Alan Greenspan? Alan Greenspan, because I sat with him, he is a poster child, a veritable poster child for why there has to be a mandatory retirement at 70 of government officials. He held the interest rates down, as they're doing now, for 3 years below the inflation rate. Well, what's the incentives? Again, back to incentives. What's the incentive? You pay back in cheaper dollars. So, yeah, that's what the Chinese are seeing. That's what the rest of the world is doing. They're voting against the dollar. It would be even more profound if so many of the nations of the world weren't doing the same thing we're doing. It would be a lot more evident. You know, that's another thing. That's another reason for optimism, in the sense that I was there as a student in Britain. And every day I'd walk down to the Strand, I saw the headlines in the newspaper dispenser, brain drain continues, brain drain continues. Britain was losing at the rate of 10,000 a year. For them, that was a lot. Their best artists, their doctors, their scientists, their engineers, their entertainers, they're all leaving because the tax rates were 98% on income, marginal income. I mean, it took a Margaret Thatcher. Finally, it comes to an end. You know, you run out of other people's money. That's what happens. It's happening in New York. So eventually the reality overcomes and even displaces the nihilism and the self-serving Marxists in this case. And they got their kick, as I was told back then, in the Bahamas. We're going to get our kick in the Bahamas. Whatever it is, there will be a day of reckoning, and I think it's going to come sooner than later. I forgot the question. Sorry.